is SK Telecom, our first match of Champion Spring 2016. So good to be back.
It is, and we are playing on patch 5.24. There were some issues with 6.1, so we will not be running it this week, guys.
Yep.
So
last minute decision to swap it back.
Yeah, next week we will be on 6.1 here in Korea. Rise and Fiora, first bans, GP, and of course, Faker the only player at the World Championship playing Rise, but he showed why that particular pick is ban-worthy, and of course many more people have taken that pick in the meantime, learned it to the same degree, and are now running it. So no surprise bans so far based on the current meta. Lissandra, very powerful in either mid or top lane.
You know, what about those other strong picks that we've been hearing about lately? The Trundle, of course, Misfortune, Ezreal's really back with a blue build again. I mean, do you think we're going to see those for the last two bans?
We possibly could. The Ezreal ban is definitely a possibility. It will be MF, actually.
Yep. And so, there's the Lulu. Okay, so still some really powerful picks available for both teams.
Could be a Kindred first.
Yep.
All right,
Still
so
very strong in the jungle.
Yeah, Kindred, one of the stronger junglers right now. Among other junglers that have been seeing popularity, if you are not familiar with the way pros are playing currently, it has been a lot of Elise. Graves jungle is quite strong right now. So there's a lot of kind of interesting jungle picks bouncing around. We will see a Tahm Kench. Now this could possibly be a top lane Tahm Kench, which has been seeing increased play.
Yeah. I wonder. I just want to see some Trundle support, man. I've been playing a little bit lately. It's about as bloodthirsty as you can get. That is my kind of support pick. But just in general right now, we're at a state in the game where tanks are just stupid powerful.
Yes, they are. And a lot of the reason behind that is the changes to Last Whisper and the difficulty of killing tanks in the late game once they start getting a lot of HP and armor stats up there. So they have become very potent, and since Trundle can steal a lot of those tank stats. Interestingly, no Mundo pick yet. That's going to be a major power pick on this particular patch. So will Malphite in the top lane, and Sky could be taking over this Twisted Fate, and Alistar, certainly one of the best supports still available.
Okay, so TF Alistar will be the picks then for CJ. And SK Telecom thinking about locking in the Trundle and the Zed right away. Faker Zed, of course, legendary. And Zed really isn't in a bad spot right now.
No, he's in a fine spot, especially in the mid lane in the TF matchup. You have a lot of 1v1 kill pressure in that particular mid lane scenario. We could see Bengi returning to the Rek'Sai here.
Well, his Rek'Sai was truly a force to be reckoned with in Season 5. It looks like he's going to bring it for the first game of 2016 as well. And, I really wanted to see Faker Zed. How great would it be to see Faker Zed in the first game of the year?
It's powerful, but again, especially when you have the Kindred, but the Alistar is not the most appealing target. I haven't been seeing a lot of Yasuo play recently, so it might be a bit of a surprise, but then again, you do have some power with the Wind Wall, and Kassadin, a much more conventional pick. Duke also a very good Kassadin player in the top lane. It is a flex pick at the moment.
Yep. Oh, it's going to switch over to Corki, and that could be mid or ADC, couldn't it?
It's going to be a mid lane Corki. This is another thing that's been taking a lot of priority, especially with Tahm Kench. What you do is you play double AD carry compositions, and you play Tahm Kench in the top lane. So basically it becomes almost impossible to kill their carries. And so I assume we're going to be saving a support pick for last here from SKT.
Yeah, I suppose it could still be the Tahm Kench for support.
I think it's going to be a Trundle last pick, just because you have so much zoning potential with the Pillar and also great Siege with 280 carries that way. For CJ, Gnar definitely an option. They're going to be looking for a pretty tanky front line. You need a tanky top laner generally when you play with Kindred, because she really changes the way that you draft, because you do have an 80 carry coming out of the jungle, so you need something that's a little bit more stout in your front line.
Really?
They will be setting it up with Maokai and Ashe.
Ashe, okay. The Maokai, not too surprising, I suppose, but the Ashe pick is a little bit interesting.
Well, this is a pick comp, Dilla, and what you can do is you have two global forms of initiation with hard CC in terms of Ashe's arrow and TF's ult with a gold card. So this is going to be very powerful at taking out single targets and getting into the back line of this double AD carry composition. It should be a Trundle lock here.
Yes. Bring on the Trundle support. I want to see some trolling.
But especially with the Maokai pick. It makes that Trundle selection even more attractive.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got Maokai, Alistar on the other side to grab those stats from with the Trundle ult. thinking about the Thresh. Wolf's a great Thresh player, of course. We haven't seen him play Trundle yet.
Thresh would offer a little bit more disengage against the strong engage of CJ, so that could be a major reason. Will be actually the Thresh locked in. I'm a bit surprised. But
oh, I'm a bit sad. I'm just kind of sad. That's the only thing that's making me sad right now. Otherwise, I'm really happy that we're doing Champions again. So there's our lineups, and I've got a question for you. One of the strengths of Tahm Kench, right, is to be able to grab the jungler and then show up anywhere on the map with the ultimate.
Yeah,
with Rek'Sai, isn't that a little bit redundant? Because Rek'Sai can already have that mobility to a certain extent?
Well, still, you've got double globals coming in, right? So that's going to be very powerful. We have 2 teleports. Of course, Sky going to be playing the teleport TF. And so it's going to be a lot of map movement here. Should be a very dynamic game. I would expect there to be quite a few kills in this one.
Oh, I hope so, man. Seems like in general we're just seeing a lot more kills in League, and that makes Doa happy.
Shorter games, more kills. That is the name of this new season for sure.
Well, there's our final lineup. Zuntara on that Maokai, Bubbling on Kindred, Sky on TF, Kramer on that Ashe, Madlife on Alistar. I don't know if I'm going to get through all these names before the game starts. Duke on Tahm Kench, Bengi on Rek'Sai, Corki, played by Faker Bang, playing Kalista, and Wolf on his classic Thresh. There we go. I got through it.
You did.
I got through it, guys.
Great work.
And it's time. Game number 1 of Champion Spring. CJ Entus versus SK Telecom. CJ's new squad, new coaches against the World Championships. It really does seem like a David versus Goliath matchup in our first series of the year. But we've been surprised before. I just don't think it's going to happen this time.
Let's get into it.
Yep, time to get into game number 1, guys. Let's do it.
Mother Nature, everybody wants to the world.
Whoa, check that out. Wow. Well, welcome to Summoner's Rift, guys, for our first game of 2016 here at OGN Champions in Korea, Doha and Monte Cristo. So happy to be back with you guys for another great year of League of Legends, and it will be great as we see SK Telecom's own Faker fresh off the win at Worlds Season 5 in Berlin.
And the loss to ESC Ever in the Kespa Cup.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that, though. We'll just move on. That's okay. Yeah, what were you saying? Oh, yeah, that's right. So Corki the mid lane, that's interesting. Let's talk about that instead of SK Telecom.
Yeah, extremely strong poke. I'm not sure that Corki would have been the best choice here combined with Kalista. Obviously, you do have strong initiation with the Thresh combo with the Kalista, but in any case, less mobility, less poke, less siege potential, but still very strong. And Duke going to be playing that top lane Tahm Kench, something that I'd seen him playing in solo queue for quite some time.
Yep, Kramer. What's the deal with 80 carries?
Yeah, he didn't have a very good Worlds performance, actually. He looked like he was having a lot of trouble communicating with his team. Obviously, Korean to Chinese communication issue could have been rearing its head right there, but he did get replaced by NL after a time in the World Championship, but just looked a little bit uncomfortable. So we'll see how he performs now back on a wholly Korean lineup. So that's poke damage there.
The wholly Korean lineup. You sure? It is CJ. Well, I guess they do have Madlife.
Yes,
so
they do have Madlife. God, what are you talking
about?
about?
All right, it is a wholly Korean lineup. All right, I agree. You won me over. Yeah, NL had some words for the Korean commentators in our information. He said, "You guys keep," Kramer. He said, "You guys keep comparing me to NL. You've done it many times, and I'm very sad. Please be nice to me now." I'm reading this from our info sheet here in front of me. Doesn't want to be compared to NL, so don't you do it. I'll be watching you, Monty.
We'll just compare him to space then.
Oh, well, how about Wound?
You have to go through your CJ 80 carries.
Yeah. Madlife has arguably never truly had a great 80 carry to lane with here in Champions.
A lot of people saying that Ghost is really going to be something special, and like BDD, he will be turning 17 and therefore eligible to play at the professional level in March. A little bit later in BDD, but should be very interesting to see how that goes. Kramer having a tough time CSing here early on, Bang and Wolf.
Really tough, yeah. A lot of pressure coming in from SKT's bot lane, but Bang's Kalista, if you talk about power picks, this was one of the champions that he would just simply win on every single time. So to give that to him right away, you're not exactly putting yourself in an easy spot, are you?
No, definitely a comfort pick for him. I believe this is going to be Faker's first game on Corki, too. So, but this is, guys, this is when we enter the new season of League of Legends, this kind of composition that SKT is running is going to be quite popular. Just because Tahm Kench is virtually unkillable when he actually gets items in that top lane, and therefore you can protect some damage dealers very, very well. But again, I like what CJ's doing with their long-range engage. They do have a lot of single-target crowd control with Ashe and TF and Maokai. Also very easy ganks on the top side. So Tahm Kench, Duke, going to have to play very conservatively here if he wants to avoid getting teleported on and killed by the Maokai Kindred and TF combination.
Yeah, corrupting potions for Faker and Duke in their lanes. Oh, maybe a gank attempt coming in.
Yeah, that's going to be
Faker from bubbling. Yeah, it doesn't exactly work out. But what do you think about corrupting potion right now?
I mean, it's just a strong laning tool early on, so definitely a good pickup. We'll see it quite a bit in the mid and top lane. Pretty common stuff, especially for champions that have a bit longer range and have some poke potential there to continuously put down the damage.
Tara, Sky though, just a bunch of Doran's rings. Faker, whoa, Wolf, able to grab Kramer, do a lot of damage there. Not too bad. Of course they do have that sustain from Alistar, so it's going to be something that's mitigated, but Kramer's still pretty far behind in CS for this point in the game.
And Tara going for a double Doran's ring build, so really trying to pack a punch here early against the potion that Duke has picked up. Is getting a pretty healthy CS advantage. Bubbling going to get caught out here, actually. He's going to get collapsed on. He should not be there.
Yeah, this is super dangerous. Bubbling trying to make it back to the Dragon Pit. Maybe get over the wall. There's the flash. He's going to hop over the wall, but at least they burned a summoner spell there. Meanwhile, a bit of a duel with the Dry Brush. Wolf trying to chase down Kramer. They're going to get pulled in. Kramer in a lot of trouble, and it's going to be first blood going over to Bengi. Yeah, a solid long-time jungler picking up the first kill of 2016.
Yeah, Bubbling, he's an amateur jungler. He played a little bit on Winners. He was on Anarchy, the team that is now Africa Freaks before Lyra joined. And that's a very amateur pathing mistake right there. So he was trying to get into the river, but Faker and the bot lane of SKT both had their lanes pushed up. Meanwhile, Sky wasn't 6, and they didn't have really any vision in there. So if you try and make a play on that situation, the collapse just comes so fast. It forced Madlife and Kramer into the Tri-Brush, and then pretty easy kill, nice Lantern gank there.
Oh, here we go again, Faker. Just going ahead, Valkyrieing away.
Yeah, good luck ganking mid lane, Corky.
That might not be too easy. Faker having no issues at all staying alive.
Yeah, especially because Faker's running Cleanse this game. He sees all that crowd control coming through, so even if you hit a gold card, it's not going to do much, and the jungler doesn't have flash. So Bubbling having some, I think, decision-making issues early on in this game. But again, it's a very young player, so we'll see how he does.
I mean, like you mentioned earlier, it's really a rebuilding year for CJ. I mean, they had to make a lot of big changes. Whenever you have to make changes like that in an organization, there's going to be a time of adjustment. You're not going to win a lot right away. That almost never happens in any sport, esport or otherwise. So if you're a CJ fan, you kind of just have to hang in there and maybe hope for a playoff spot if you're lucky this season, I think.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if you're a CJ fan, you're probably actually pretty excited about the fact that there are new players on this roster, because if there's been one consistent criticism of the CJ organization, it's been that they've been holding on to legacy players well past their prime and haven't really gotten the necessary new blood to remain competitive.
Yeah, and that was largely a criticism, it seemed like, was pointed towards the coaching staff, and with that completely turned over, we immediately saw a huge turnover in roster as well. So it is good to see CJ finally looking towards making those decisions that might eventually bring them another championship.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been a very long time, but
yeah,
for an organization that was so powerful early on in their League of Legends careers or legacy.
Oh, Bengi harassing Intara just a little bit, slowing him down with that smite. Duke coming up. Intara might have to burn his flash to get away from this one. He certainly will. They're going to go right after him, though. Intara still in trouble. He's got his ult pop. Can they grab him in time? There we go. Tahm Kench takes a bite out of him, and that is going to be another kill for SK Telecom. Duke with his first kill as an SKT player.
Yeah, not a whole lot they can do. Sky all the way back in base, no TP up and out of range for his ultimate. Faker's been doing work, just forcing Sky to TP back into lane. And so really just a whole hell of a lot of global map control and pressure from SK Telecom right now. Bubblio taking it this time to at least try and push into the enemy jungle. He's going to run into Faker, though.
Yeah, able to do some damage. Faker has to be careful. Whoa, never mind. Bubbling has to be careful. That was a lot of burst damage coming out of that Corki.
Yeah.
Got that Sheen proc. Man.
That Sheen's going to be doing some work early on.
No
so.
kidding. All that Charlie Sheen, because it's winning. Bengi forcing the flash out of Sky.
Well played, sir. I didn't expect that one.
I like to surprise. It's good after 10 seasons, I can still surprise you, Monte Cristo. I'm happy to hear that. Well, Faker still just fine. Gotta watch out for those Sheens. League of Legends item wires or otherwise. Hand over that blue buff, of course.
Yeah, so just a pretty, so far, lane dominant performance. Santara has lost that pretty large CS lead that he developed early on. So the boots of swiftness now coming through. Adam, you will see with more regularity this season.
Yeah. It is nice. I accidentally bought Sork shoes on Trundle when I was playing on stream the other day. That was embarrassing. I was just like, guys, I just want my ult to do more damage. That's all, you know?
Need to chomp harder.
Yeah, totally. Take a bite out of crime. I only play Constable Trundle, by the way.
Wow, it's too bad that no one's ever made that reference before.
I'm sure I'm the first. Doesn't matter, it still feels good. Oh, flash, bang, thrown back under turret, tries to get away with that lantern. Box drop down by Wolf, bang on the outside, pulls his support out, and are they going to get more out of this? Sky so low, kept alive though by Kindred's ult.
It's a great turnaround right there. I mean, they stopped that gank under turret 3v4 after Mad Life punting SKT back under that turret, but Bengi
nice
with
try.
great patience on the Unburrow to take out Sky. And, you know, this global pressure that CJ wanted to put on really hasn't worked so far. They haven't been able to create any picks. Faker has thoroughly dominated this mid lane just in terms of pressure. And we see Sky right now take a few hits onto his turret, going for that Rod of Ages. Pretty standard now, Rod into Abyssal Scepter is what you're going to see on a lot of these mages.
Yep.
Themes not particularly great these days. Faker here is doing more work, slowly chipping away that turret, and this is what Faker does, just whittles away the mid lane and then takes over the game.
Yeah. You know, we've talked over and over again about Twisted Fate ultimates, right? You really need to get something going out of the first or second. First one didn't work out at all for Sky. You know, so if they can shut this TF down, especially if they can kill that first turret, it's going to go a long way in securing this game for SK Telecom. They're already just taking control of the map.
Yeah, they are, especially that bottom side jungle, considering that's where they're strong on the map right now. And Tom Kench does have some wave clear issues, so it's less reliable to invade that side of the jungle. Meanwhile, you can see Bang right here just working his way up.
So one thing that I thought was interesting as we see Corki pick up his payload is Dragon doesn't seem to be as much of a priority now as it was in Season 5.
Yeah, a lot of, I mean, first Dragon buff is still a really big priority just because you do get the % damage increase. But,
here we
Sky.
go. Yeah, Sky could be in a little bit of trouble. Caught out, no flash. Are they going to kill him under turret? Looks like they're going to be close. Faker with the final rocket. And the final hit he needs to pick up that kill.
You have to be so careful when Corki comes back to lane, because if there's a jungler there like that, he can just ambush you from beyond your screen of vision, basically. So you have to play very cautiously whenever Corki comes back on the map with that payload, and that's the reason why right there they made it look quite easy. I mean, SK Telecom making this game look quite easy.
Not bad. And it looks like we can see vision from each team at the same time, actually. That's interesting. That's new.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, good stuff. So, excellent little change. You've got tons of little observer tweaks, as we saw, coming through this season.
So, another objective that we should probably talk about, being that it's the first game of the new season and all that, is the Rift Herald. Not a huge priority that we've seen in various games on the preseason patch so far, but do you think that'll maybe change at some point?
It needs to be buffed, or I suppose depending on how you look at it, nerfed, because right now it just does so much damage that it basically forces a recall whenever you take it, and you lose a lot of time and map pressure that way. So I don't think we're going to see much emphasis on the Rift Herald. And to go back to the Dragon issue too, a lot of games just simply aren't lasting long enough these days to justify a lot of emphasis on dragon control, just because you're not going to get 5 stacks. The game will likely end before that occurs. So first dragon is very important, no matter when you get it, just to get that single stack up. And then it's mostly basically a turret pressure game at this point in time. And that's kind of the change that we're going to see, at least at the start of this season. And we'll see how perhaps Rift Herald changes or dragon buffs change. I think perhaps changing the second stack to something a little bit more potent might do some work when it comes to making continued dragon control more of a viable tactic.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot more bloodthirsty meta right now. It's very nice. Kramer still behind in CS. Has that Caulfield's hammer and the BF sword, but not a lot otherwise.
Yeah, it's going for a little bit of the CDR on Ashe.
Probably a good idea if you're running a pick comp.
Probably a good idea if you're running a pick comp, absolutely.
CDR on the Ashe arrow is pretty nice. But he needs a bit more than that. I mean, right now SKT has been putting on all the pressure. So when does CJ really find that opportunity to get those picks? You know, we're almost 15 minutes into the game and there's no kills for CJ.
Yeah, none at all. Faker with a second blue buff too, and that's just going to help him push up this wave even further and try and actually deal the damage. Meanwhile, another recall from Sky, who has been using that TP exclusively to get back into lane, has his ultimate up if he wants to use it, but basically he hasn't been able to have really any effect on the map so far. And it looks like we may see the first dragon coming through here.
Could be. SKT might be setting up for it. Yeah, it looks like they're starting it now.
Bit of a risk considering their bot lane isn't there, but they will be back in time for any fight should Mad Life and Kramer start to make a move. And they do have a lot of vision on the backside of that objective too, so they know that CJ isn't moving north through the tri-brush.
Well, with things like the lower amount of vision in general right now in the preseason, and also things like the vision debris to kind of let you know where wards may have just been, it's easier to kind of sneak things like that, it seems like.
Yeah. The continued harass of the mid lane and the taking of the jungle. Great vision control so far from SKT. Vision, of course, changed dramatically, so you do have to be more deliberate and precise with vision these days because you simply will not have as many wards or as much of an idea of what's going on the map. So it has made it very interesting and more methodical in the way that teams approach objectives and approach pressure.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good thing.
Well, to a certain extent, too, it's kind of a jungler's paradise right now as well because you just don't have as much vision to use in the early game to keep track of where people are. So ganking gets a little bit more often and a little bit more successful, and all of that contributes to quicker games.
Yeah, absolutely. Bubbling still going to be running the tracker's knife here, so does have a few more wards. Bengi opting for a Sightstone this game to make up for it. And that's going to be a major factor. Pretty much all the new machete upgrades are being used.
Oh, here we go. Action down in bot lane. Wolf could be in trouble. Teleport coming in from Fly in the mid lane. Bang getting very low. Looks like CJ may get their first kill. They will. Finally taking out Bang.
Really nice target switching there. So you saw they engaged the fight onto Thresh, but then they immediately moved onto Bang because he was going to just use his ultimate onto Wolf and pull him back in. Yeah. So they need to get rid of the Kalista right away. They CC him long enough in order to make sure that they get the kill. And now we're going to see some tower trading. Yeah,
I mean, Faker was able to take out the tower in mid lane, but CJ might be able to respond right away with the bot tower. Maybe not at the moment, though. Wow, SKT keeping that alive.
That's a great trade for SKT, actually, to force just a kill for that.
Wow. I was not expecting them to be able to save that, and we may have a bit of a dive. As Faker comes in, Nuntara on the run already.
Corki does so much damage these days.
He really does. Has that Trinity Force, has those Sork shoes, and that's going to be another turret for SK Telecom, most likely.
So 2 turrets right there for 1 kill. SKT absolutely just playing again the wave advantage they had on the map, and Faker with that fast Trinity Force is a tower menace.
This is one of the things, too, that led to that championship win at World Season 5, is that you may be able to gank somebody somewhere on the map. You might be able to get that kill, but everyone else on the team is going to take every advantage that gives them.
Yeah, and Bubbling really has been essentially a non-factor this game.
Yeah.
Did get the 1 assist, but he just hasn't been in the right place at the right time. Bengi has been reading him like a book, and now package going to be here, and that is a long way. Bengi already set up.
Oh boy, Sky just going way too far up in lane without the vision to keep him safe, and Faker and Bengi pick up a pretty easy one. It did not look difficult at all. Wolf pulled in to keep him away from the gank down in bot lane. Bubbling tried to make a play there, but like you said, Bubbling just not really able to make anything happen this game. Definitely a silence of the lambs situation.
It is definitely a silence.
Say. It's not doing a whole lot.
It puts the potion on its skin.
Yeah, or it gets the ward again. Oh, Faker could be in a little bit of trouble here. Madlife with the pulverize for the knockup. Bengi coming down to save his teammates. They're going to pull Madlife into the box. Who caught who now? Ash is still trying to do damage from the outside. Untara comes down with the TP to try to make a difference. Low health members everywhere, but so far no deaths until right about now. Untara goes down. Duke with a kill there. Bubbling jumps in to try to help. Lamb's Respite keeping people alive for the moment, but it doesn't stop Faker from picking up another one. Now Kramer on the run. He needs a door to go through really fast or something, but he has nothing. Another kill for SKT, and that is going to be a near ace. It is an ace as they catch Sky. SKT, what can you say? I mean, just as dominating as ever.
That was very well executed,
Wow.
just coming through. Duke, actually, we talked about his teleport usage, but he shows up at the right time and tangles up their back line, so they can't really engage on that fight. Meanwhile, just great kiting from Faker, using both of his summoners to get out of a Maokai route. Let's take a look at this. I mean, Faker playing very aggressively onto Madlife right there, and then just taking the Lantern out. Maokai's going to come in, and we will see Faker here. So it's a nice TP, actually, from Untara, but it'll just be root straight into Cleanse Flash instantly. And you take a look at Duke right here, just coming back onto Madlife, and there's not really much that they could do. Untara, the first target.
Wow.
And we just see the Kindred ult coming down, but it's not going to do a whole lot. As the heal pops in at the end, Faker just saves his burst damage to deal with Kindred as soon as the ult is up. So very impressive by SKT, and they take a 7,000 gold lead here at 20 minutes.
Yeah, you have to imagine that it's not going to take too much longer for SK Telecom to finish this one off.
Yeah, Baron's up right now. They have Corki and Kalista to take Baron.
Oh boy, Madlife trying to escape here, but Faker's still there doing a lot of damage. There's a flash, but it's not going to save the battle cow. It's taken out. And SKT, I believe they stole away the blue buff too. I don't think anyone got that.
Yeah, it's going to be a Baron.
Baron, yeah.
Madlife didn't actually use his ultimate right there for some reason.
Huh.
I'm a bit surprised by that, because if he dies, then the Baron is definitely going to be incoming with the Kalista securing the damage that they have.
Right. Well, CJ wants to try to stop it. Sky coming in. There's an arrow onto Bengi. Not the person they wanted to land that on. Bubbling on the run right away. Untara comes in to try to break up the backline. Sky with another gold card over onto Bengi. But SKT just taking apart this fight so easily. Backing off that Baron, not having any trouble at all, shifting focus to winning this team fight.
Yeah, CJ actually only lost one member for stopping that Baron, and they're going to get a tower off of it. So that was actually a pretty successful fight for CJ as far as staying in this game goes. Might have bought them just a little bit of time, and now Faker's not going to have that same pressure in the mid lane that he had before. So if they can transition this into a dragon immediately, they may be looking at some strong plays. But here we go. That is going to be sensed out by the crab there.
Yeah, well, it looks like Tom Kench coming in right away. Duke just coming in by himself. Dragon very low. SKT gets basically a free dragon. Oops.
Well, what can you do, really? I think they had to go for it, see if they could get it, and try and take some form of advantage. So I don't think you can really blame CJ for that one. You see Duke right now just building a ridiculous amount of defensive stats, and unfortunately for CJ, they don't really have a lot of damage. I mean, Sky is still going to be stacking up that Rod of Ages, not fully there yet, and meanwhile this Ashe not going to be doing a lot with only a completed Essence Reaver right now, so there's really no way for them to kill Tom Kench. It's not looking good for CJ, quite obviously.
Not really. I have to say, so far in this first game, Duke seems to be fitting in pretty well on SKT.
Yeah, I'm surprised. He really is coordinating well with his teammates. Looks a bit more comfortable, at least in this game, than he did on Najin. Only his first game of the season, though.
That's very true. We have not the biggest sample size in less than one game.
I think 20 minutes is enough to make our judgments about Duke on SKT, though.
Enough for most people on Reddit, probably. So why not us too, you know? SKT invading the enemy jungle. Sky, wow, nearly going down right there. But it's enough that SKT should be able to take this turret. Bengi very aggressive with that Rek'Sai. And I don't think there's going to be a lot stopping SK Telecom from taking this turret. CJ may want to try it. I guess they do. End up pushing SKT away for the moment. Sky has his ult. SKT needs to be a little bit careful about where everyone is right now, but you know, to be fair, Duke can just come in whenever he wants.
Yeah, has his ult, has his TP up, so there's not a whole lot they can do. Duke continuing his very slow Sunfire Cape split push here. Does drive some minions in the turret. Bengi.
Wow, Bengi going really deep. Finds 3 members of CJ. That may be in a little bit of a hard time for him. Wow, gets knocked back by Madlife. Bengi flashing, trying to get to that lantern. Doesn't make it in time. Wolf drops a wall anyway. Bengi lives through it for the moment. Duke getting in the back lines. This Tom Kench is so tanky. Sky on the run there. Maokai turns right around. Wolf in the middle of it all. In a lot of trouble. Kept alive by the Lambs despite for the moment. Flashes at the last second as Faker takes down Madlife. And Tara the next to fall. And SKT turns it into a team fight win. A double kill for Duke. And a nice rocket at the end to complete the ace.
And Faker there just using the package, coming right over the top of that team fight and delivering the Valk. And that did a lot of damage, and then just poking from the outside. Now SKT going to take a look at this Baron right now while they push the mid lane. Looks like they're only going to need a few members to go ahead and take the Baron, maximizing their gains with this mid lane turret kill as well.
With all the brawling that we've seen between these teams, I'm amazed that CJ has only come away with it with 1 kill. That is insane. SKT, though, going to come away with another huge teamfight win and a Baron. And will this be enough to close it out? Let's watch that fight again.
This just shows how tanky you can get these days, even on a jungler. So Madlife's actually going to do a good job of blocking the lantern grab right here. He's going to stand right on top of it so Bengi can't get to it. Instead knocks up Madlife and nearly dies, but they can't quite get the kill. Now watch Faker here with the package coming over from right to left of your screen. And right over the top, beautiful in the choke point right there, getting an entire over the hallway and then just shooting some phosphorus bombs and rockets right into the mix. And at the end, saving Wolf right there, taking out Madlife, and then coming over. Kramer with 0 mana, so he's really not a threat.
Jeez, look at those crits.
Yeah, Essence Reaver's pretty strong.
Yes, strong in the hands of Faker, not so much in the hands of Kramer at the moment.
Of course, and Essence Reaver, such a strong item on a lot of these more spellcasting AD carries like Ashe or Porky or Ezreal these days, just because you do get quite a bit of mana back whenever you get that critical strike. So
you definitely need that with a champion like Corki. SKT moving in to the bot lane right now, looking to take their first inhibitor of the game. They do still have Duke pushing in top lane for them.
This guy actually just going to recall and give up that turret. Duke there.
Oh, arrow comes down. They're going to try to make a play for it. Madlife trying to get closer to Faker. Headbutt pulverize. Faker still in a bit of trouble. Bubbling though. Low. There's a Lamb's Respite going down. Kramer firing from the outside of the fight. Faker back in a safe position. And this is going to be SKT. Yet again, how far will they dive? Enough to kill Madlife at least. And now just taking out that turret. It's what they came for anyway. They don't need a bunch of kills. They need objectives now. SKT. Not quite enough for the inhibitor yet. Okay, they'll get it.
Turn around right after that.
Too scary. Yep.
Yeah, Duke's going to regain a little bit of his health that he lost while he was going for the turret tank. Yeah, let's push it up. They're not going to go any further than this. Time to back off, for sure.
Well, that's what you call a successful push.
That is what you call a successful push, and should be pretty easy. 17-1 in terms of the kills for SK Telecom. And this has been pretty damn convincing, Doa.
I would say so. 7-1 in terms of turrets as well. 2 dragons to 0.
I mean, basically,
Baron on top of it all.
We're 1 kill and 1 turret away from this being a perfect game for SKT.
Yeah.
That's very close. Very close.
I mean, it really says a lot about both teams, right? It says that this is still the World Championship SK Telecom team, even if they do have a new top laner. It says this is indeed going to be a rebuilding year for CJ, you know? It really is sort of what you'd expect, looking at this matchup on paper coming into it today.
Absolutely.
But it's still fun to watch.
I did not expect Duke to be this synced up with the rest of SKT, though. Really, his teleports have been pretty good so far this game. He's Especially that last one coming in right for the front line, doing a good job of tanking up that turret while they finished it off. And he looks very coordinated.
You have to wonder how much of that was just simply being on Najin. You know, last
now
season.
we wonder that.
And now we do wonder that, yeah. But the fact is that when Najin won a game in 2015, 90% of the time it was because of Duke. So you take that guy out of that team, give him some good teammates, and it looks like it's working out pretty well in the first game anyway.
I mean, he did win the spring MVP, and it wasn't like his team was winning 70% of their games or anything like that either. So when they won, he almost always got that MVP. You see Bengi doing quite a bit of damage right now.
Yep.
They're just going to move on through.
It's a very methodical closeout, but again, a quicker game. They've already lost a Nexus turret. Looks like they may lose the rest soon, as that's the final inhibitor for SK Telecom.
See, they should just put on the pressure right now and go ahead and close this one. No real need to back off.
Yep, health looks good, cooldowns look good. The power is certainly there for SKT. CJ, one last frantic team fight opportunity maybe. But we'll see. Mad Life stopped a little bit. There we go. Maokai going in on a faker. Just valks away immediately. Mad Life in the back lines, but kind of on his own. Pops that ult. Sky just with not a lot of damage. Faker jumps ahead to get the kill on Bubbling. Meanwhile, SKT takes on the rest of the team. Faker's not done yet. Taking down Kramer in the fountain. Welcome to Champions, buddy. There goes the Nexus. SKT with the first win in Korea of 2016.
Incredibly clean game. You can see SKT really... They haven't lost very much. Sure, they didn't do so great in the Kespa Cup immediately after returning to Korea, but they looked very comfortable in this one despite having made that roster change. Really firing on all cylinders. A very, very impressive win.
Yeah, looked really solid. It's got to be a bit frustrating for Mad Life especially. You know, you've played for so long. Now you've got this whole new team to try to whip into shape. See if drill instructor Mad Life can handle it. But again, if you're a CJ fan, even though it's tough right now, this is the kind of change that needed to happen on the team.
Yes, it did.
Growth is painful, guys, all right? This is just how it has to be if you want CJ to be good again. Win for SKT, and this is a best of 3, of course, so we'll be back with another game. See if CJ can tie things up. But I've got a feeling it's going to be pretty similar.
Yeah, I think that we'll see. Again, in this patch, a lot of games tend to be very snowbally. Even between comparably skilled teams, so perhaps CJ can bounce back and show a little more in game number 2.
True enough.